want to do that in a lake? Today, we're back at the flight test program for the Mini 4 Pro, and we're going to float the drone, land, and take off in water. This is going to be a series of build-up flights. We're going to do them dry first, then we're going to do a little pond area that I've made out of a sandbox, and then we'll go to the lake after I've got some experience and a sense of what the flying qualities of this little guy is. Before we get to the flying, let's go to a top-down shot and I'll show you how this kit gets assembled and attached to the Mini 4 Pro. One of the reasons why I'm so excited to try the floats out on my Mini 4 Pro is because back when I was younger in the flight test biz, I had the opportunity to fly a helicopter on the water and land and take off. And I remember when I was flying, both taking off and actually just hanging around in the water and landing, it felt a lot like I was sitting on top of a hockey puck. So I want to get that experience back with this experience. Before we get started, I want to preface a couple things. First of all, this is a Mini 3 Pro flotation kit. It also comes with a landing gear set. It's kind of interesting. So if you're doing a Mini 3 Pro, this would probably be a great fit. There are other kits, configuration like this, and then they use Velcro or cable tie straps, bungees or whatever to go around the float, but I wouldn't trust them. I like this design because it goes all the way around and it's fairly firm in place. When I went online to buy this, I for some reason thought that this is how thick the pool noodle was going to be, because this is a standard thin pool noodle, but it's the thinner and it's solid. The instructions are meh, they're okay. Cantus 3 goes into 3 here, a 1. It took a long time for me to find these. Goes into the 1 slot here, 2 on this side, goes into this 2 slot, and then that just leaves 4 to go into slot 4 here, like this. 3 and 3, and then it kind of has a clamp over like this. Now for the 4, this landing gear won't work. I guess it clips into here and goes into these little slots here, and it's just not the same configuration. I'm really surprised that there's that big of a difference body-wise or fuselage-wise between the two builds. Also, I've done this on my gimbal cover because I've taken off a couple times with this gimbal cover on. In my business, red means remove before flight. When you clip it on, you'll notice that when you start up the quadcopter because you won't be able to see through. So that's a good warning. They say they're developing a 4 set. In the picture, it looks like it's angled forward like this on the side here, almost like a float plane. So that's the way I'm going to do it. It blocks the light right there, but it doesn't block the sensors. And you can remove the battery fairly easy when this is installed. It's just a little stiffer. And you just tighten up this little screw as best as you can so it doesn't move around. This is the side profile on the right side, the left side, from the front and from the back. And here's an angle. One other key detail about this kit is it said you should have equal distance in the front and the back, which makes sense, are a little more than 23 centimeters, a little over 9 inches long. It's about 3.5 to this point here, and then about 3.5 to that point there. So kind of eyeball it and make sure it's the same and they're all straight and ready to go.
Alright, here we go. So that's what it looks like. Whoa. It wants to climb. Get it down a little bit. No, I don't want it to land. Ah! It's funny. It's like it wants to land for some strange reason. So let's do a little forward flight. Okay, controllability, it seems okay. But you can't bring it down low or it wants to land. I'm bumping it down a little bit. Alright, that's better. Just a little pirouette here, just kind of pivot it. Very wobbly. Down a little bit. If I didn't know any better, I feel like it's almost having a ground effect issue. Let's bring it back a little bit. To the side. Here's a little bit of a breeze picking up, and it's straying. It's getting pushed by the breeze pretty good. So handling qualities with the floats on are not where they should be. Wow, it's just squirrely as heck with a little bit, any kind of wind. Look at that. And it has a tendency to land in the front part of the, about a foot this way and this way more than it took off. So let's see what it looks like when it's floating in the water. So I'm real apprehensive to land it in this water. It's about 6 inches deep. This is what I got going on here. 24-inch by 24-inch water heater pan. And there's just enough water in it for it to float around. I'm going to try to take it off floating and then try to land it floating into this mini pond I've made here. So let's give it a shot and see how it goes. Takeoff. Okay, it sticks to the water. Very interesting. There it goes back up again. So when it takes off, I don't know if you saw that, the water tension kind of holds the floats in place. And very similar to what it's like in a helicopter when you land on the water. Sometimes you got to get a running start. I'm going to try to land it in the water. Nudge it over. All right, come on. You don't want to tip it. Come on. Go down. Doesn't know what to do. It doesn't want to land in the water. Landed in the water. But I'm just going to let it take off wherever it wants to take off. Alright, there, it didn't go up. The slightest wind and it blows around. So you can see it's actually dripping. Maybe from that camera there, you can see that it's dripping. Okay, so we'll raise it up a little bit. Let's bring it back. Do some inputs. In the flight test biz, these are just step inputs. Let's do a rotation. Again, trying to get whatever we can data-wise on this. Let's do some other step inputs here. And then a little more rotation. We put it over the tank and try to get it to land here. It's a lot more stable now. What it is, I think, is it's pointed into the wind. Maybe you can see some of the ground rush you're getting a little here. You can see the grass moving around. That's the rotor wash coming down from the quadcopter. Forward, forward. A little bit more. I'd like to get it way right over the spot before I land it. And it's very squirrely. Go forward. Come on now. Alright, so we'll go down a little bit. You get to a certain height and it just wants to land on this thing here. Come on down. Wow. Come on down. Come on down. Wow. Would I want to do that in a lake? I don't think so. Not at this point. I gotta learn some things. Boy, oh boy, did we learn a lot today. Can you land and take off from water? Yes. Is this a lake? Absolutely not. When the floats are in the water, they're about halfway up the noodle, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really sure what happened on that last landing. It just was all over the place.
trying to settle itself out. There's some sort of aerodynamic load that's happening on these floats, just like any kind of helicopter float that I've experienced. This is a fairly representative first test. I do want to get to the sandbox pond over there and a lake/pond in the future, but I'm going to look at this video first and figure it all out. Thumbs up and comments always appreciated. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in all sorts of quirky quadcopter tests, making and breaking things, I design sports equipment, photography equipment, I even do costumes, cosplay, and props. Check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know what kind of contraption you're gonna see. And did the Mini 3 Pro work on the Mini 4 Pro? Well, I think I validated that. If you decide to use this set that I'm gonna post down below, it's at your own risk, because you gotta be really careful, and even flying with floats on, at your own risk. It is not a typical flight for a Mini 4 Pro.